my true soulmate, the woman whose love fills my heart with joy. Our journey to be together was very difficult for both of us. It wasn't a fairy tale. We went through many tough times, but our bond became strong through it all. Here is how we came together. As a child, I was always closer to my grandmother, Louise Albright, on my father's side than anyone else in the family. My grandfather, Gavin, passed away when I was just a baby. I heard he was a successful lawyer who wanted my dad to follow his path. However, my dad, Henry, preferred working with his hands. He found his passion for cabinet making in high school. After training for several years, he started his own business and raised our family. I have an older sister, Paula, who married her high school boyfriend and was raising a family too. Grandma Louise often said that Grandpa Gavin wished for one of his grandchildren to become a lawyer. To encourage this, he saved money to cover my college expenses at Wake Forest University, giving me a chance for a free education. Paula had the same offer, but she chose not to pursue law, just like my dad. I was open to the idea of becoming a lawyer, especially since there would be no student loans after earning my degree. In the U.S., lawyers need to earn a Juris Doctor, JD, degree to practice law. This requires first getting a bachelor's degree, usually taking 4 years, followed by 3 years in law school. So, it can take about 7 years in total. Jack Kalisher was my college roommate for 5 of those 7 years. We liked the same music, shared hobbies, and even had similar views on life and school. We supported each other and took our studies seriously. We were there to learn and earn our degrees. As the years went by, the hard and boring study became exciting thanks to mock trials. I loved the challenge. I wanted to help people and thought about becoming a defense attorney. I was good at talking and uncovering the truth, especially from those who wanted to hide it. While I didn't graduate at the top of my class, I did finish in the top 10%. I was worried about passing the bar exam, but my studies helped me succeed on my first try, 10 months after I graduated. My grandmother smiled proudly at each of my achievements, often reminding me how happy she was for me. She hinted that she could help me find a job when I was ready to start using my degree. I understood that she had some contacts in the field from when Grandpa was alive. Jack's parents and mine held a combined graduation party for us. We had been best friends and roommates for a long time and had visited each other's homes many times. At the party, a lovely girl walked in. Jack and I exchanged glances, both thinking the same thing. She was stunning. As we both approached her to introduce ourselves, we realized we needed to settle who would go first in a fair way. We decided to play rock, paper, scissors. After losing, Jack wanted to try best 2 out of 3. He was frustrated that I won the next 2 rounds, but he eventually accepted his defeat and begrudgingly wished me luck. Jack and I had some experiences with girls in college, but we never got into serious relationships. Our main focus was on our studies. Cindy Wilkinson's personality was just as wonderful as her looks. She was polite, classy, witty, and fun. It turned out that Thad, the son of our neighbor, brought her along as his cousin so he wouldn't have to come alone. But once he spotted an old girlfriend at the party, Cindy was left on her own. She was supportive of him and seemed happy to meet me. I tried to be charming and spent the rest of the evening talking with her. I found it hard to keep my eyes on her face because she was so captivating. I told Thad I would make sure Cindy got home safely. He just smiled at her, and I sensed that was the beginning for us as a couple, marking the end of my single life. Jack felt disappointed with himself. He missed passing the bar exam by just 5 points when we took it together. I had helped him study for 6 months to refresh his knowledge, meeting with him about 4 times a week. He was my best friend, and that's what friends do. When he was allowed to retake the exam, he finally passed. He thanked me sincerely for all my help in achieving his goals. My grandmother suggested I could apply for a junior position at A, B, and C Law, LLP. I asked her if her contacts could help Jack apply too, since we were like brothers. She said she would do her best to set up meetings for both of us. We were both interviewed separately and got job offers the next day. We felt like we were on top of the world. We were associate lawyers at the same firm, but we had to work under different supervisors, so we didn't get to see each other much during the day. Cindy and I usually went out on weekends to watch a movie, have dinner, or sometimes even dance. I eventually shared the story of how I got to go out with her first by luck. She laughed a lot about it, but never explained why it was so funny to her. On one of our early outings with our friend Jack, Cindy sat next to me at the table while Jack sat across from her. As Jack was telling us a funny story from our college days, Cindy playfully interrupted him. "Eyes up here, Jack, come on, you can do it," she said with a giggle. Jack's face turned bright red when he realized he had been staring too obviously. "I'm sorry, Cindy. I got a bit distracted," he confessed. "If you looked around a bit more, you might notice there's more to me than just my looks," she chuckled, glancing at me with a smile. I laughed at how quickly she had caught Jack off guard. Not knowing what to say, Jack just accepted it, and we continued having fun for the rest of the night. Cindy danced with Jack while I took a break to rest. Afterward, I told her how clever she had been with Jack. "Clever? This isn't my first time dealing with guys like him. I've met many Jacks over the years. Most men act like he did tonight. Oddly, you see much more than just my looks, and that's one of the things I love about you." "I know Jack pretty well, even better than his parents. He's harmless," I assured her. "I know that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have playfully teased him like that," she replied. Jack soon moved on, seeking Miss Wright. He found her in the form of Donna Herndon about 6 weeks later at a public swimming pool. She looked good in her swimsuit, but she didn't have the same figure as Cindy. She often mentioned having back pain and thought about getting surgery to make things easier. She wore supportive bras and had slightly uneven breasts. Aside from her appearance, Cindy had beautiful long brown hair that reached her waist. She knew how to style it to draw attention away from her figure, and I told her how much I loved her hair and hoped she wouldn't cut it. After Jack started dating Donna, we began double dating after their third outing. Donna seemed like a perfect match for him. She could have been a model with her striking appearance. She was a natural redhead, which Jack admitted he had personally noticed. Donna and Jack matched perfectly in their personalities. Cindy and I never saw them argue. The girls got along well too. Jack and I later found out there were no secrets between them. This made us a bit uneasy, but they never brought anything up with us, so we let them talk. After all, Jack and I had shared a room in college for 5 years, so we knew a lot about each other. For some reason, the girls decided to take up ballroom dancing. The only dancing Jack and I had done before was the classic slow dance. Soon enough, we were signed up for dance lessons twice a week. It turned out to be a lot of fun. Once we learned the basics, we were able to dance without too much worry. By the end of the lessons, we weren't experts, but we were good enough to enjoy ourselves on the dance floor. A, B, and C Law, LLP occasionally took on pro bono public defender work to help train new recruits, so our firm was connected to the public defender system. During a quiet time, one of the firm's partners, Lou Bonelli, who was my mentor and supervisor, assigned me to a case that he thought had little chance of success. He explained that even if the case seemed hopeless, the person deserved proper representation. He believed it would be a valuable experience for me to learn how to handle a difficult situation. At first, I was hesitant about the case. I wanted to help those who were innocent. This was a case related to a drug deal gone wrong. Although I believed my client might be guilty, it was still my job to defend him with all my strength. Maybe Bonelli wanted to see how I would handle the challenge. I decided that my client would get my full effort, no matter how I felt about his situation. Santiago Rodriguez was a 19-year-old bilingual young man. At least I didn't need a translator. He had been caught up in a police raid during a drug bust. What stood out to me about this case was the lack of solid evidence. He had been charged with possessing a gun that had its serial number scraped off. However, he wasn't charged with using the gun, nor was there proof that he was involved in any illegal trade. He was considered guilty by association. I went through a lot of evidence gathered by the prosecutors and watched all the video footage from the police cameras. All that could be shown was that he was present at the scene, which was not a crime by itself. I talked to all the witnesses and others who were arrested at the same time. I put together a solid plan for his defense. He was my only client, and I didn't want the other cases to affect mine. I convinced the district attorney to treat Santiago's case separately. I argued that just being there didn't mean he did anything wrong. It took me only 5 minutes to get the DA to agree to this. That's all the time I had. We pleaded not guilty at his arraignment. It was surprising that a young man like Santiago didn't have any visitors and was denied bail by a strict judge. I thought he might be homeless and just happened to be in the wrong place. I worked hard on his case for a long time. One of my colleagues, Lou Benelli, was not pleased that I was spending so much time on Santiago's defense but admired my clear plan. I gave it my best effort. I pointed out a legal rule that said you can't charge someone for having a gun without a serial number. During the questioning, I was able to challenge all the witnesses who thought he was involved. I reminded the jury that just believing something isn't enough to prove it, even if the evidence is weak. After 4 days of trial, the jury found Santiago Rodriguez not guilty, and I celebrated winning my first defense case. I was thrilled, just like Santiago. 2 days after the trial, I was crossing the street to grab lunch at a diner when a limousine stopped in front of me. A Latino man got out and invited me to meet his boss. I didn't see any weapons and didn't feel threatened, so I decided to go. A well-dressed Hispanic man in an expensive suit greeted me. "Good afternoon, Mr. Albright. Thank you for taking a moment to meet with me. Do you like steak?" Surprised, I replied, "You can call me Micah, and yes, I do like a good steak." He called to the driver, "To Beef Palace, quickly. We don't want to waste this man's time." The driver turned left and drove off fast. "Forgive my manners, Micah. My name is Miguel Lascano. Are you aware of who I am?" I thought for a moment and said, "I've heard of a Heriberto Lascano, a Mexican drug lord, but he was killed some time ago. Yes, my brother is well known for his actions. I prefer to stay in the background." I felt a rush of fear which didn't go unnoticed by him. He chuckled at my reaction. "Please relax, Micah. I want to honor you today. You are a good person, and I always honor those who have helped me or my family." "Honor me? For what? This is our first time meeting. Should I know you?" "Not me, Micah. But you know my son, Santiago Rodriguez. He got into some trouble, and you stepped up to help him when he needed it the most. You defended him very well. For that, I am very grateful." "Your son?" "Yes. I never married his mother, so he has her last name. Because of my work, I had to stay away from them to keep them safe. If people knew Santiago was my son, there could be trouble. But he is my child. I would do anything for him. I couldn't be seen working with his lawyer, as that would reveal our connection. So I kept an eye on how you were defending him. I really wanted to thank you for everything you did." We arrived at the steakhouse and ordered our meals. The Beef Palace is an expensive place known for its quality and luxury. I hoped that since I was here at his invitation, Miguel would pay for the meal. "Miguel, I just did my best for your son. I would have done the same for anyone, no matter who they are. And that is why I want to thank you in person, Micah. You are a good lawyer, and there are not many I can honestly say that about." The food was served quickly. The steak was so tender it almost melted in my mouth. It tasted amazing, and I told Miguel how much I appreciated his kindness. "This? It's just a meal, Micah. We all need to eat, right?" "No. My thanks will be more than just this. I want to pay you for your work with my son. If I had hired a top lawyer, it could have cost me a lot of money for his defense. You worked for free, and I want to repay that. Garcia has a briefcase in the car with $100,000 in cash. I want you to take it as a thank you for what you did for my son. I knew the Lascano name was linked to illegal activities. I didn't want money that might come from bad sources. I also worried that if he was paying me so much, he might expect something from me later. I needed to find a way to refuse this offer. It would also be hard to explain such a large amount at my bank. Miguel, I really appreciate your generous offer, but I can't accept it. I became a lawyer not to make a lot of money, but to help people find justice. If I accept your generous offer, I will be going against the principles that I built my career on. Do you understand?" Miguel looked at me, surprised that I did not want his money. I hoped he did not take it the wrong way and would not seek revenge. He paused for what felt like a long time before saying, "It is rare for someone to surprise me, Micah. I thought people like you didn't exist anymore. Who turns down money these days? But I respect your values and your choice. Still, I can't let you walk away so easily. I do not forget my debts, and I owe you one, Micah. Here's what I will do." Miguel pulled out a business card with his name and contact details. He turned it over, wrote a different phone number, and handed it to me. "This is my personal call-in service. I would give you my private number, but it changes a lot. This call-in service stays the same. Call this number any time, day or night. Leave your name and number with them, and I promise I will get back to you quickly. This is my offer, and you can use it whenever you need." Micah, I don't care what you might need in the future. If it is within my power to help, consider it done. My son is priceless to me, and there is nothing you cannot ask of me anytime. Got it? He winked at me as he finished. Thank you, Miguel. I can see you are a man of your word. I will keep this number and will call if I ever need your help. He smiled, shook my hand, and we both enjoyed a wonderful meal together. I was soon back in my office, feeling both appreciated and a little anxious about it. I didn't dare mention my encounter with Miguel to anyone, especially Cindy, because it would quickly get to Donna and Jack, and I worried they might urge me to use my information against Miguel. I preferred to stay on good terms with him, so I kept quiet. I later put the card he gave me in my safe deposit box at the bank. After helping to free 19-year-old Santiago Rodriguez, I knew I wanted to be a pro bono defense attorney. As Cindy and I grew closer, she sent me a link to the song Feels Like Home by Chantal Kreviazuk, saying it reminded her of us. We continued double dating with Jack and Donna. We enjoyed spending time together so much that Jack and I talked about proposing on the same night and planning a double wedding. That's how close we were. Our plans went perfectly, and the girls were thrilled about the double wedding. Joining our budgets allowed us to throw a big celebration, which the girls loved. The only money left was for the honeymoon expenses, which Jack and I discreetly set aside from the girls. The girls wanted us to all go on a honeymoon together, but Jack and I said no. They went to Cozumel while we enjoyed Grand Cayman Island. Some experiences, like honeymoons, are better when they are private. Jack and I were both sure about that. In my first year as a lawyer, I made $72,648. I could have earned more, but I chose to focus on being a public defender. Cindy, who was a high school art teacher, earned $26,232 each year. Together, our total income was $98,880, just under $100,000. We were comfortable but didn't have much extra. Jack and Donna had a lot more money. Jack got involved in important defense cases, earning 50% more than my public defender salary. Donna, being a CPA, started with pay that was double what Cindy earned. They had nicer cars and a bigger house in a wealthy neighborhood. Still, money never became a problem for us. Cindy and I were just as happy as Donna and Jack. Best friends don't let money come between them. We went out together at least once a week, usually on Saturday nights. The girls enjoyed sparkling drinks, and we liked treating them. We often went to dance clubs and took turns dancing with each other's wives, having a great time together. Jack and I were pallbearers at my grandmother's funeral. He owed her a lot for helping him get his job interview, which she recommended him for, and that really mattered to the firm. The doctors said she passed away from a heart condition, but my dad said it was more like dying of a broken heart after my grandpa left us. I will really miss her. She was the best of us. Jack and Donna supported me a lot as I grieved. It was understandable that she left everything to my dad, as she had already helped me a lot with my education. To earn a little more money, Cindy started painting. With her art knowledge, she created different styles and images in hopes of selling them. She painted landscapes, portraits, seascapes, and winter forests. While they were beautiful, she hadn't sold a single one over the years. She made nearly 50 pieces, and even though she gave some as gifts for weddings and birthdays, she hadn't made any money from them. One thing I didn't like about Cindy was how she used her phone. She said she had trouble holding it to her ear for clear talking, so she always used the speakerphone option. I told her to stop being so loud on her speakerphone, thinking everyone around her needed to hear her talks, as if that made her seem more important. I often had to make sure she was alone when we talked so no one could overhear what I wanted to say to her. Because of that, I didn't call her cell phone unless I knew she was home by herself. If she wasn't home, I kept our conversations friendly and casual. Yes, she was one of those people who let others hear both sides of her calls. No matter how hard I tried, I never managed to convince her to stop this habit. If that's her biggest flaw, then I still feel like one of the luckiest people around. 5 years went by quickly, and our bond stayed strong. While my earnings slowly increased, Jack's and Donna's jumped higher, and we were happy for them without feeling jealous. The love we had for our friends was more important than the money. The girls talked about becoming mothers. Jack was excited, but I wanted to wait a year or two to be more financially stable. Cindy understood but didn't want to wait too long. Donna was hoping to be pregnant at the same time as Cindy. Cindy was excited when she had news for me. Micah, I think I'm about to get a big chance. Donna has a friend at an art gallery, and they looked at several of my paintings today. They're going to show them soon. Isn't that fantastic? It's on a consignment basis, and they will take a small fee from every sale. But that's how it usually goes. That's great, Cindy. I knew you would get this opportunity, I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. What's the name of the gallery? It's not local. It's in Everton City, 3 states away. Donna's sister-in-law works there. It's called Artistic Expressions. The sister-in-law is visiting with Donna and Jack this week. I've already met her and shared all of my paintings. This could be our chance, she said with excitement. I'm really happy for you, Cindy. I hope your paintings sell well. Please keep me updated. The best part is that the gallery said they would call us right after each sale. I gave them both our phone numbers so we wouldn't miss a call. I gave her a hug and a kiss on the forehead to cheer her on. I didn't have high hopes for her paintings, but I admit I don't know much about art. I didn't want to ruin Cindy's happy moment, so I let her enjoy it. I found it strange that Jack and Donna hadn't mentioned anything to me about it. Then I thought maybe they didn't want to push her too much and were keeping things low-key. That made sense. We had our regular meeting at the firm with all the lawyers there. Everyone was updated on major court cases and how to best use our resources. Jack shared that he had been reaching out to potential new clients on the West Coast and was considering opening a satellite office in California. Everyone was excited about this news. The idea of visiting a California office while on vacation was appealing. The partners gave Jack the green light to make as many connections as possible and see if this could happen. Jack was very driven, and even though it would mean he would be away for a few weeks, we believed he would succeed. As another month went by, Cindy was a bit sad that we hadn't received any calls about selling her artwork. To lift her spirits, the 4 of us decided to go out to our favorite dinner club. Besides delicious food, the club featured live entertainment and a big dance floor for everyone to showcase their skills. We all had a great time dancing together. After a short break, Jack asked Cindy to dance and Donna turned to me to join her. As we stepped onto the floor, the orchestra started playing lovely tango music. We made the most of the moment with our dance partners. Just as the first song ended, they switched to another well-known tango piece. Donna danced passionately, showcasing her talent and energy, making the moment truly special. When the orchestra began to play a slower, smooth song, I thought it might be time to rest. But Donna had other ideas. She wrapped her arms around me, and we moved gently around the dance floor. I noticed Jack and my wife were still dancing closely too. At that moment, Donna leaned in and spoke softly in my ear. While she got a little too close, I tried to create some space between us to keep things comfortable. It seemed clear that she was aware of my effort to maintain distance. Micah, you seem a little tense. We really do dance well together. I'm feeling quite lively right now, but we both know we need to keep it appropriate. I hope you'll agree to join me in letting go of the energy we've built up on the dance floor. I've wanted to talk about my feelings for you for a long time, and I finally gathered the courage to say it. Donna, you're a charming and lively person, but Jack is my closest friend, and I could never betray him. I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong impression. Thank you for the lovely dances, but I need to take a break. I gently let go of her hands and walked toward the table. A bit sad, Donna followed behind me. I wasn't sure what had caused Donna's sudden change in mood. Maybe it was the passionate tango we had just danced. We often joked and flirted, but this was the first time it felt like someone wanted to go further. I cared for Jack like a brother and would never break his trust. When we sat down, Cindy and Jack joined us. I hoped to avoid any awkwardness. I didn't want Donna worried that I might say something to her husband. I respected Jack too much to suggest anything negative about his wife. I wanted to make sure there wouldn't be any future misunderstandings with Donna. She glanced at me a few times when others were not looking, but I didn't respond. We went back to dancing with our wives for the next few songs. Cindy didn't mention anything about my earlier dance with Donna, so I kept quiet. Later, when Jack asked Cindy to dance again, I quickly excused myself to the restroom to avoid an uncomfortable chat with Donna. I stayed away until they decided to take a break. On the way home, Cindy asked, I noticed you were a bit distant with Donna after the tango. Is everything all right? Honestly, I wasn't sure how to bring this up, but since you asked, I'll tell you what happened. I explained everything Donna had said on the dance floor and how it connected with how I felt. Cindy laughed. Jack did the same to me without saying a word. We both felt a little heated. That's what the tango does to you. What did you say to her? I told her that her husband is my best friend and I could never betray him. I won't bring it up with him, but I don't plan to dance with Donna again. I don't want to stir up any feelings. Don't you think that's a bit much? They are both our close friends. Are you overreacting a little? You're not at all worried that one of your best friends suggested something like that? You know I'm not someone who cheats. Of course I trust you. That's why I'm not worried. It takes two to tango, and yes, I meant that playfully. You are always kind and respectful to Donna, and I trust you completely. That's why I think you are overreacting. I don't want to cause problems with them. Cindy, I really appreciate your faith in me, and I feel the same about you. But I don't want to go through that again. We can still hang out with them, but I won't be dancing with her anymore. This is just something I need to do to feel safe. I would prefer if you didn't dance with Jack for a bit either, if you don't mind. I can't make you dance with her, she said, sounding a little sad. I think you're being silly, but that's just how you are. I love you, you big guy. We kept going out with Donna and Jack as usual. Donna didn't bring up her feelings for me again. When Jack asked Cindy to dance, she went along, telling me later that it would be rude to say no. She hoped I would change my mind. Donna asked me to dance as well, and I politely said no without saying it was forever. Because I didn't want Cindy dancing with Jack, I asked every other woman to dance, which left no time to dance with my wife. This upset her. When I stepped away for a moment, Jack unexpectedly followed me. What's going on, Micah? The girls told me about what happened with you and Donna the last time you tangoed, and you've been in a bad mood ever since. What's up? So, Donna showed interest in you. It's not the end of the world. You said no, and that's it. You don't have to treat her badly. Jack, you have been my best friend for a long time. I didn't want to tell you what happened out of respect for our friendship. I'm disappointed to hear that my wife told you what I shared with her in confidence. The truth is, I value our friendship too much to cross that line with Donna. Dancing with her is what led to that situation. I just want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Wow, man. I thought people like you were a thing of the past. Look, I understand where you're coming from. You're like the last good guy out there. I just want you to dance with both girls again and stop acting this way. It's making things awkward for everyone. Their awkwardness? Now you're advising me on my marriage? I appreciate your thoughts, Jack, but I prefer to handle my relationship with my wife my way, just as you do with Donna. You don't see me telling you how to deal with her. Come on, you're making a big deal out of nothing. I'm just asking you to relax so we can enjoy the evening. Relax? I'm having a great time on the dance floor, Jack. I don't need to calm down. With that, I went back to dancing with many partners, young and old. Jack had to dance with his wife, or she would have missed dancing with anyone while I was away. Cindy usually attracted a lot of attention, with a bigger figure than Donna's. While Jack and Donna danced, Cindy began dancing with other men to get back at me. I thought it was only fair. But the truth was, Donna had no chance to talk about closeness with me again. I reached my goal, even if it caused some tension. After that night, Jack only danced with his wife at future events, leaving Cindy free to dance with me. Both girls were upset with me for stirring things up, but they couldn't change how I acted. One night on the way home, Cindy finally spoke to me. Do you know how much you are embarrassing me? Your best friend thinks you see his wife in a bad light now. My best friend doesn't know how to fix things with you. You won't spend time alone with her anymore. You won't dance with her after years of getting along. Do you know how hurtful that is to them? Cindy, she made a very forward suggestion. You don't seem bothered by that. If Jack asked you something like that, I would end our friendship right away. I wouldn't accept that. She was taken aback. You would throw away a lifelong friendship just because a man asked me a question? In an instant. I wouldn't want you around him again. Cindy was silent for the rest of the drive home. I hoped she understood my point. Given what she had said before, I figured she would share it with Donna and Jack. The next Monday morning was like most others. Cindy and I kissed and shared our love. She mentioned she would pick up the dry cleaning since most of it was hers. I said I would grab something for dinner, and we left for work. That evening, I got home a little later than usual because I picked up Chinese food. As I pulled into the driveway and got ready to go into the garage, I noticed something white stuck on our front door. Since we always entered through the garage, I planned to check what it was later. When the garage door opened, I was surprised to see that Cindy still wasn't home. She usually finished work earlier than I did, and even though she was picking up the dry cleaning, she should have had time to get back before me. I stepped inside and kicked off my shoes, leaving the food on the table as I headed to the bedroom to change out of my suit. I called Cindy to see why she was late. After a few rings, it went to voicemail. That was odd since she usually answered, but I figured she was probably close to home and didn't give it much thought. I went to the door to get rid of a flyer, but instead of a flyer, there was a letter-sized envelope taped to the door. The name Mr. Albright was printed on it by a machine, not handwritten. My curiosity got the better of me, so I opened it, expecting junk mail. Inside was a neatly folded letter. It read, "Mr. Albright, I have taken your wife, Cindy, for some time. She is currently safe, but how long that remains true depends on you. If you both follow my instructions completely, she will be returned unharmed. However, if you don't, her time with me will be extended. I will know if you contact the authorities, so don't even try. I have ways of finding out. Cindy is not cooperating right now, and I need her full cooperation. If she doesn't comply, I will take steps to ensure that she changes her mind. This is where you come in. If you want her to stay safe, you need to help her understand that she should follow my instructions completely. Here's what you need to do. Write the following message by hand, exactly as I've written it, and post a picture of it on your Facebook page until midnight tomorrow. Cindy, please do everything he says. Give it your all. Our love will get us through this. She will understand the message. Others may not, but that doesn't matter. You will also find a USB device in this envelope. It contains a special program. Plug it into your computer, and it will verify that you're not involving the police. It will also give you access to further instructions and then delete itself. Follow these steps carefully. I stared at the letter, my heart pounding. I didn't know what to do, but one thing was clear. Time was running out. I wouldn't risk talking to the police. After spending time with Cindy, I planned to share some video highlights of our interactions online. You need to use the link provided to watch every moment of those videos when they are available. You know your wife very well. I want you to pay close attention and count how many times you think she truly enjoyed herself in each video. The next day, you will need to post that number on Facebook. Just the number, no comments. If it's 0, write a 0. Only you and I will understand its meaning. Watch her carefully and don't miss anything. If you guess wrong, she'll have to spend twice as long with me. Mr. Albright, I must stress that your involvement in this is almost as important as hers. Your acceptance of what she's doing is crucial. If you resist, you may never see her again. More instructions will come in the videos. I am not asking for money. I only want the freedom to be with her and for you to participate by watching our interactions. Go to work like usual and act like everything is normal. Don't spend any extra time away from your regular schedule. If you do, I'll find out. As I mentioned, what happens to her depends on you, your wife's admirer. In that moment, I realized our lives were changed forever. I felt confused about what to do. I didn't want anything to happen to Cindy. She means everything to me, and I would do anything for her. I thought about how scared and alone she must feel right now. If I contact the police, he threatened to make her stay longer with him. But if I don't, am I making things worse? I've heard that the first 24 hours are crucial in missing person cases. I touched the USB device in the envelope and took it out. It was simple and shiny with no fingerprints on it. I couldn't risk the police having it, so I followed the kidnapper's instructions. As mentioned, it checked my computer, installed itself, and erased the memory from the USB. I confirmed everything was in place. Clicking the link took me to an empty cloud storage address. Nothing was there yet. I was so scared for my wife that my hands shook. The kidnapper knew Cindy was an art teacher and admitted to taking her. It could be someone from her work or someone else she knows. My mind raced, but I couldn't figure out what to do next. I had never been in such a tough situation before. I needed to talk to someone I trusted. I called Jack. Hey Jack, it's me. Hey Micah, I'm glad you called. As you know, I'm heading to the West Coast for a bit to meet some new clients and work on our satellite office deal. What's going on? Do you and Cindy have any big plans for the weekend? If not, could you or Cindy check in on Donna a few times while I'm away? I want her to have some company. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about your meetings out west. Sorry, but Cindy and I won't be doing anything together for a while. What? Did you two have another argument? I wish it was that simple. Jack, if I tell you something as my best friend, will you promise to keep it a secret from everyone, including Donna? What are you talking about? Of course you can trust me. We've shared secrets for years. I won't tell Donna, I promise. It's not just about Donna, Jack. You can't tell anyone at all. Okay, I won't. What is you so worried? I told him about the note and read it to him. Oh my God, Micah, is this for real? Well, the USB was real and the web link works, but the online folder is empty right now. I value your opinion, Jack. What should I do? Should I involve the police? You absolutely should, but do it quietly. Someone might be watching your house. Call the police and ask them to keep it low-key so no one else finds out. Maybe you could meet them somewhere public, like a restaurant, with them in plain clothes for Cindy's safety. The first 24 hours are really important in these situations. Promise me you'll call them once we finish this talk. In fact, I could cancel my meetings and go with you for support until this is sorted out. I appreciate that, Jack, but you're great at closing deals. No one else can do it like you. Forget that, Micah. This is about Cindy's safety. I need to be here for both of you. I need to act like everything is normal based on the note, Jack. You should carry on with your meetings. I'll take your advice and contact the police, thanks. Let me at least call Donna. She's alone without anything going on. She'll be upset if she finds out I didn't tell her. Let me ask her to come over and offer you some support. I promise she won't make things awkward. I trust you, Jack. It's just that I want to keep this between us for now. It's nothing against Donna. I just need to be careful. All right, I understand. I don't like it, but I get it. Just remember, Micah. If you want me to keep my appointments, please promise to call me if you have any updates or if you need to talk. It doesn't matter if I'm with someone famous. I will drop everything to be there for you. I want you to know that I'm here for you anytime. Thanks, Jack. I know I can always rely on you. Go do your best out there. I'll contact the authorities as soon as we finish our call. Talking to my best friend made me feel a bit better. Jack is very logical, and I trust his advice. I wasn't sure if I should reach out to the police. I'm glad he encouraged me to do it. It was the right choice. I used to think you couldn't report a missing person until 2 days had passed. The police corrected me on that, especially since I had a note from the kidnappers. They agreed to meet me in casual clothes at the food court of our local mall. I let them know I still hadn't heard from Cindy. After filling out some forms and quickly giving my fingerprints, they took the note to examine it. I had already made a copy for myself. I also brought one of Cindy's hairbrushes for them to compare prints. They later told me that there were no fingerprints on the note except mine, and the tape used to attach it to my door was too common to help. They asked about her usual routine after work. I remembered that she was going to pick up the dry cleaning on her way home. I shared everything I could about her, including a recent photo. Then they informed me that when a wife goes missing, the husband is often the first suspect, even if he is the one who reports it. They mentioned I might have to come in and give a formal statement later. They told me to stay home and wait for further instructions. I must admit they responded quickly. Detective Cassandra Jennings was in charge of my case. Within just a few hours, she told me that Cindy's car had been found in the back parking lot of the dry cleaners. Her purse and the dry cleaning that had been picked up were still inside her locked car. They were dusting the car for fingerprints. The dry cleaner had a security camera that covered the parking lot. Cassandra told me that a plain white van had parked between the camera and Cindy's car, blocking the view of the actual event. The van had a logo for F&S Plumbing Company and a contact phone number, but both turned out to be fake. There was no such company. The driver's window was covered, making it impossible to see the driver's face. The truck had a temporary license plate that matched a brand new Toyota Camry. However, there was no clear link to the 65-year-old woman who owned it. It seemed like her temporary plate had been copied and attached to the kidnapper's truck, while the original plate was still on her car. After talking to a lot of people, the police could not find anyone who saw the crime happen. But the video from a dry cleaner and a note left by the kidnappers made the police take my worries seriously. Neighbors did not see anything strange on the day the note was put on my door. They confirmed my alibi by checking with my coworkers who said I was at work when she was taken. A USB drive they looked at didn't help either. When the police technician checked my computer, they found a link that led to a website. Unfortunately, they could not trace it back to who posted it. Every lead was a dead end for now. The kidnappers were smart and careful, but Cassandra assured me that everyone makes a mistake eventually. It was only a matter of time. They hoped to track any videos back to their origin and catch a break. Cassandra suggested that I write the note for Cindy as the kidnappers asked, hoping it would help. I posted it on Facebook without saying anything else. After thorough checks, they found that the main fingerprints on Cindy's car were hers and mine. There were a few others that might belong to the kidnapper, but they did not match anyone in their records. They returned her car, purse, and phone to me, and I put them in the garage. The house felt so empty without her. All I could do was pray. Cassandra assured me they were doing everything possible but still had nothing to follow. She mentioned that there were likely 2 kidnappers since the van door hadn't opened, and the whole thing took less than 15 seconds. She also said the rough language in the note suggested the kidnappers were not well educated. She asked if I could think of anyone who might fit that description. I couldn't think of anyone who would do something so terrible to my wife. That night, sleep didn't come. On Monday morning, I got a call from an unknown number. "Hello, is this Mr. Albright?" "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?" "I'm glad I reached you, sir. My name is Madeline Gunderson from Artistic Expressions Art Gallery. We have tried several times to reach Cindy Albright, but we haven't been able to connect with her. Your number was provided as a backup contact." "I understand. I'm sorry, Madeline, but it seems Cindy might be unavailable for a while. How can I assist you?" "Oh, no help is needed from you, sir. Your wife left some of her paintings with us to sell. I'm calling to let you know that 3 of her paintings have just been sold to a client who wants to remain private. The total sale amount was $6,900. Our fee is $500 per painting, so $5,400 has been deposited into your joint bank account, as per her earlier instructions." "I'm sorry. Did you say that $5,400 has already been deposited?" "Yes, that's correct. In fact, there seems to be a lot of interest in your wife's artwork right now, and we are hopeful about future sales." Curious, I asked, "Who bought her 3 paintings? Was it one client? I would like to get in touch with them to thank them on Cindy's behalf." "I'm sorry, but I cannot give you that information. All I can share is that it was a single anonymous client. Interestingly, they did not visit our gallery. They viewed her paintings online. The client did not provide any identification. A large deposit was made using cryptocurrency, and there was no name on the account, only a 17-digit identifier. They mentioned that they might buy more of her works." "Could I have that account number for later reference?" "Just a moment, sir." She briefly left and then came back with the number. "Here it is, 5225293334642469. I wrote it down and repeated it for confirmation. "That's correct." "Is this a common type of number for crypto transfers to your gallery?" "Not at all, sir. It's quite unusual. It seems like the number acts more like a name rather than an actual banking number. I found it odd that someone would suddenly buy multiple pieces from an unknown artist without seeing them in person, relying only on images online. How can the client remain anonymous? What address did they want the paintings sent to?" "They didn't provide one, sir. They asked us to hold the paintings until they come to pick them up. We have no idea when that will be. We can only wait for them to contact us again." Everything felt strange and not quite right. What Madeline was saying didn't make full sense. "Thank you, Madeline. Is there a way to stop future sales from happening?" "Why do you want to do that, Mr. Albright? I can assure you that the agreed amounts are fair for your wife as a new artist." "I'm not questioning that, Madeline. The issue is my wife is in a very tough situation right now, and I don't know if she will come out okay. This situation may affect the value of her work in the future. I want you to hold off on any future sales until she is safely out of her current troubles." "I'm sorry. I wish I could help you, Mr. Albright, but we can only change things with Cindy's agreement. You were listed as a backup contact for information, but you cannot make decisions for her. I hope you understand." "I'm disappointed, Madeline. I thought we could reach an agreement. If we can't, I will have to make it hard for your gallery to keep its promises to my wife." "I don't understand. How do you plan to do that, sir?" "I will close the bank account tomorrow, so you won't be able to add any more funds. Any money you try to send to her will come back to you. If you can't pay her for future sales, the gallery would be breaking the contract with her. You would be holding on to the money from sales, which would make the contract invalid. I'm an attorney, Madeline. You should pause all future work with her until you hear directly from her or her legal representative, or you risk breaking the contract. This is very unusual, sir. I can't believe you would hurt your own wife's success. Until we hear from her or her official representative, we will continue to support her. I see. Thank you for your honesty. Since I have her phone with me and it's off and I will block your number, please don't waste time trying to reach us. In other words, Madeline, don't call us. We will call you. And I ended the call. I wasn't ready to handle this now. Cindy can sort it out when she comes back, if she comes back. Honestly, I was surprised that any of her paintings had sold at all, let alone for such high amounts. They will keep selling her work despite my request. I will let Cindy take care of it later. I'm sure she would be happy that her work is finally getting noticed. The next morning, I had my secretary reach out to the gallery for details on making a bank transfer. Once she got that information, I went to my bank and arranged for a transfer of $5,400. 00. Once the transfer was confirmed, I closed the old account and moved the rest of the funds into a new one. I decided to leave Cindy's name off the new account for now to avoid any complications. On Wednesday afternoon, Cassandra contacted me with an update. Good afternoon, Mr. Albright. We have some news that might help move the case forward. Using a tracking program, we were notified that a video was posted to the cloud account connected to the link installed on your home computer. Our team is analyzing the video for any clues, and our IT staff is trying to trace the source of the upload. If we can find the IP address, it could lead us to where your wife is being held. We'll update you as soon as we have more information. Thank you, Cassandra. I can't even begin to imagine what my wife is going through right now. I just want this nightmare to end. We're doing everything we can, sir. Please don't lose hope. We're hopeful that answers will come soon. She didn't mention the content of the video, probably to spare me from any distress. Still, I had a sinking feeling in my stomach, wondering what the video might show. On one hand, I desperately wanted to see it, to know that Cindy was alive. But on the other hand, I was terrified of what it might reveal. I was torn between wanting to know and fearing the worst. Since I didn't have any court appearances that day, I left work early. I didn't feel like picking up anything to eat. Normally, Cindy and I would be having dinner together, talking about our day. That simple comfort had been stolen from us, and the thought of it filled me with anxiety. I missed her more than words could express, but I knew the reality of her situation would be hard to face. I wasn't ready. When I finally saw the video, my heart raced. Cindy appeared on the screen, standing and smiling, as someone in the background played soft music. She wasn't restrained, and I couldn't tell if she had been coerced or drugged. The man in the video helped her onto a bed, and the scene continued. I kept watching, searching for any details that might hint at where she was, but there were no clear clues. Despite the relief of seeing her alive, the situation left me feeling overwhelmed. The fear of what she was enduring lingered in my mind, and all I could do was wait for more information from the investigators. The video showed what appeared to be a bed surrounded by large white sheets, which blocked any clear view of the surroundings. One sheet was attached to the wall and draped down over the headboard. There were no visible details of the room, no furniture, lights, or other identifying features. The person filming was careful not to reveal much, only showing the hands and arms of her captor, who remained anonymous. The atmosphere was tense and quiet. In the video, Cindy lay still, and the camera focused on her. She was wearing a necklace, something unfamiliar to me, made of intricate metal, either brass or gold, snugly fitting around her neck. It was unsettling to see her like this. Her long hair had been cut short, much shorter than usual, and her nails were painted a bright red instead of the soft pink she typically wore. Her expression was calm, but the situation was far from it. The scene changed, showing Cindy lying on her stomach as someone massaged her using oil. The cameraman only showed the hands of the person giving the massage, wearing a long-sleeved shirt, making the person's identity impossible to determine. The massage continued for a long time, focusing on various parts of her body. Cindy seemed to be cooperating, though it was clear this was not a normal situation. After some time, the video shifted, cutting abruptly to Cindy taking on the role of masseuse. The camera focused on her actions, but the details were kept vague. The expressions on her face showed that this was something far beyond her usual demeanor, but it was clear she was following along with what was expected of her. The video felt heavily edited, with several cuts throughout, leaving much unclear. While the footage was disturbing, it seemed designed to evoke emotions and leave questions unanswered. The video ended, leaving me feeling a mix of worry and disbelief at what had been shown. At the 16-minute mark, the man in the video showed signs of reaching his limit. Cindy, without hesitation, continued to assist him until he finished. As the camera zoomed out, it caught a look on her face that seemed intended to provoke a reaction. The entire scene felt crafted to upset and humiliate me, and it was doing just that. The scene then changed. The same man was lying on the bed while Cindy moved closer, positioning herself above him. The camera focused on her upper body as she leaned forward. The man touched her as she followed along with what was expected of her, and it was clear that the situation was far from normal. The camera quickly switched angles, showing her cooperating with her captor. It was an uncomfortable and tense moment, difficult to watch but without any clear details of the surroundings. Another abrupt cut suggested that some time had passed. I could hear faint sounds in the background, but the camera remained focused on Cindy. It seemed like the video was meant to evoke an emotional response, making it hard to process. Throughout the scene, I couldn't help but remember the message I had posted, urging her to cooperate in hopes of keeping her safe. The situation continued to unfold, showing Cindy's visible struggle as the captor's efforts continued. Her expressions changed, but the video stayed focused only on her face. The rest was left to the imagination, which made it even more unsettling. After several minutes, the tension in the video reached its peak. I could see the stress and strain on Cindy's face, and I had to stop watching. The emotions were too overwhelming and I couldn't continue. I paused the video, unable to bear any more. I was devastated watching how my wife was being manipulated by the person who had taken her. Though I had reluctantly encouraged her to cooperate for her safety, seeing it play out in such vivid detail was unbearable. I took a moment to pause, trying to calm myself down, knowing that the recordings were likely to become even more difficult to watch. I understood that I had to keep doing my part to ensure her safety, as failing to do so could only prolong her suffering. When I resumed the video, the scene had changed again, though it was unclear how much time had passed. This next part was even harder to witness. Cindy was lying on her back, and a man, fully covered to hide his identity, appeared in the frame. He wore a mask and dark clothing that made him difficult to recognize. The situation felt staged to keep his face and any identifying features hidden. I couldn't bear to watch the intimate details of what followed, but the scene clearly showed Cindy's forced compliance. She remained cooperative, as I had urged her to be, trying to survive the ordeal. The man in the video moved with deliberate intensity, and her reactions were captured by the camera, though everything about the scene felt cold and calculated. The video continued for several minutes, but I found myself emotionally shutting down. I could hear sounds of discomfort and strain, but it was too much to process. The video seemed to focus on making the experience as distressing as possible for me, emphasizing my helplessness in the situation. After another pause in the footage, the video showed the end of the encounter, with the man showing little emotion. The whole ordeal left me feeling hollow, overwhelmed by the weight of what Cindy had to endure. At that moment, I had to stop the video again. It was too painful to watch anymore. The video showed the man finishing his actions, while it became clear that Cindy was still in a vulnerable position. Her arms and legs were wrapped around him as the scene progressed. I had counted several moments where she appeared to react, but it was difficult to process. Right after this, he shifted her body, lifting her legs and positioning her in an unusual way. Then, to my shock, he used a medical tool to expose her in an unsettling manner. The video captured this in a cold and calculated way, making it clear that he intended to make her situation even more distressing. The scene then faded to black, leaving me with an overwhelming mix of emotions, anger, disbelief, and sorrow. The video cut to a typed message on the screen, which stayed there for about 30 seconds. It read, "Mr. Albright, Post on Facebook the exact number of times your wife reacted during our first encounter. If you get it wrong or involve the police, her stay will be extended from 2 weeks to 4. Watch the video carefully and count each time. When you're sure, post the number as a digit without any other comment. The idea of watching that video again filled me with nausea, but I knew I had to be sure to avoid making her situation worse. I could only hope the police were closing in on this person, but for now I felt utterly helpless. I took a break before forcing myself to go through it again. During that break, I downloaded a screen capture tool to save the video, as it was protected and couldn't be copied directly. After saving it with the date and timestamp, I reluctantly watched it a second time to count the moments the kidnapper referred to. When I was sure, I posted the number 7 on Facebook, something that would seem meaningless to others, but was my only way of communicating with the captor. The next morning, Detective Cassandra Jennings visited me. I was already up and dressed when I invited her into my home. "Good morning, Mr. Albright. We know you've seen the video and shared a number on your Facebook account. I'm very embarrassed that anyone else has seen my wife in such a difficult situation. I want her to come through this safely and to be over with as soon as possible. Please tell me your team has found a way to help her." "I wish that were the case, sir. Please call me Micah. There's no need for formalities." "Thank you, Micah. Our video experts have looked at every part of the video. Unfortunately, there are no clear clues about where the recording happened. It could be in a hotel, a house, or even a business. They did a good job keeping things hidden. As you know, her kidnapper wore all black to hide their appearance. The only skin visible was on their hands, and unless you or someone else can recognize them, which is unlikely, we don't have much to pursue." "What about tracing how the video was shared online?" "Sadly, we had no luck there either. The person behind this is clever and seems to know all the latest police techniques for catching criminals online. At one point, we thought we found a lead. We identified the IP address that uploaded the video to the cloud site. It led us to 2 women, Arlene Robbins and Janelle Conklin, who lived together on the outskirts of town. We brought them in for questioning. They were very frightened and insisted they knew nothing about this. We believed them. Their Wi-Fi is open, so anyone nearby could connect and upload the video without a trace. We think that's what happened. Since the videos were uploaded locally, we believe your wife is being kept somewhere nearby. It's just a matter of time before we find them." She added, "As much as I wish it were different, Micah, we still don't have any solid leads. Are you sure you have no idea who might want to harm her? We've talked to many of her co-workers looking for any possible connection, but so far there are no suggestions. Everyone we've spoken to can't think of anyone who would do something so terrible to a teacher like your wife." "If you're trying to make me feel better, Cassandra, it's not working. I was hoping you might have some ideas by now. That's why I came to see you, Micah. I want to assure you that we're not giving up. It's very possible that her kidnappers will leave a clue soon that will help us solve this case. Trust me, we will catch them." She gave me a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I was glad she came to talk, but I wished this nightmare would end today. The idea of Cindy's suffering was too hard to bear. Just before noon, I received a call from Jack. "Hey, man. I haven't heard from you in a while. Can you give me some good news? Is there anything new about Cindy?" "So far, the police have no solid leads. The detective just left here a few minutes ago. She said they'll keep working on it, but the people who took Cindy seem very smart." "I'm really sorry, Micah. I was hoping this would all be over quickly. The kidnappers posted a video like they said they would. I saw Cindy in a really awful situation, and it hurt me deeply, Jack. I feel so powerless. I don't know what to do." "That's just awful," he shouted. "Listen, I know you wanted me to focus on our clients here. Forget that. I'm coming back tonight to be with you. You shouldn't be going through this alone. No, Jack. I appreciate it, but I'd feel worse if this affected our work. I'll get through this somehow. Just knowing you want to be here for me really helps." "Fine. How about this? Let me ask Donna to come spend some time with you while I'm away. She has some days off she can use now that tax season is over." "That's just like you, Jack. Always trying to help. But remember, it's better if fewer people know what's happening. The detective thinks so too." "We don't have to tell Donna everything if you don't want to, Micah. I can say that Cindy is dealing with a family emergency, and that's why she shouldn't ask you any questions. Then Donna can be there for you while I'm not around. Please, Let us help you. The kidnappers want me to keep working and not change my routine. I left work early today to watch the video, but I'll be back to work tomorrow. Besides, I'm worried I wouldn't be good company for Donna right now, Jack. I really appreciate the thought. Look, buddy, she can bring her cooking over in the evenings and spend time with you as a friend. Plus, she'll have her weekends free. It's either me or her. If you don't let Donna check in on you, then I'm coming back tonight, work or not. You have to choose. You're putting me in a difficult position, Jack. The work you're doing is really important. You stay there and take care of things. If you want Donna to meet with me, have her give me a call. I'll take her to dinner somewhere and we can chat. It would be nice to see someone I know. That's the plan, Micah. I'll call her right after I hang up. Dinner sounds good. I'll tell her to finish her work today and be ready when you call her this afternoon about getting together tonight. I'll also suggest she take the rest of the week off to be here for you. Is that clear? If you don't meet with her, she'll just stay home alone, wondering why you're ignoring her. Call her, Jack. He ended the call. I care about Donna as a friend. She and Jack have been great to Cindy and me, but I still feel a bit nervous about being alone with her. Given the current situation, I hope she won't have any other ideas. We'll see how tonight goes. I really don't want any more complications in my life. I decided to meet her at a family restaurant for our first get-together. I wanted to make it clear this was just a friendly meeting. Instead of calling, I texted Donna to let her know I'd meet her at the Golden Corral at 7:30 p.m. This would let her know how to dress and showed that this was nothing special. Moments later, she replied that she would be happy to meet me there. After we picked items from the buffet, we sat down to catch up. You look like you have a lot on your mind. What's up, Micah? I just have a lot going on, Donna. Thanks for meeting me tonight. I didn't really have a choice, she chuckled. Jack made it clear I had to be here for you while he's away. He said Cindy is dealing with something important but told me not to ask you about it, so I won't. I can't believe I don't know what's happening because Cindy usually shares everything with me. Now, how are you doing? Jack wouldn't have insisted I take time off unless it was really important. I looked at her. I could see the genuine care and concern she always has. Donna was doing her best to be a good friend. I didn't sense that she was expecting anything more from this meeting, so I relaxed a bit. Yeah, it seems like she'll be away for a while. I wish I could share more, but it might not be good for her right now, so let's just leave it at that. Of course, Micah. I'm here for you. You seem really worried. It's my job as your friend to help you feel better or at least share the load. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. I really appreciate that, thank you, I replied politely. Has Jack said anything about how his work is going since he's been away? He told me he's signed 3 new clients so far, but he has more to meet in the coming weeks. He mentioned it's going slowly, but is still looking promising. His goal is to sign 10 important clients before opening a new office there. He seems sure it will happen. If anyone can make it happen, it's him, I added. He's the best. We chatted about various topics, avoiding Cindy's situation. I could see she wanted to know what was happening, but she respected Jack's wishes. I felt a bit guilty for not sharing more with her. Micah, are you working from home or do you still go into the office? I'm still heading into the office to keep myself busy. Why do you ask? I was hoping to cook lunch for us and bring it over to your place tomorrow, but I guess I'll bring something for dinner instead unless you don't want me to, she said. The feelings I got from her were just care and concern. I didn't want to add to her worries while her husband was far away. Not wanting to hurt her feelings, I agreed. We parted that evening with a quick hug and a kiss on the cheek. I saw her safely to her car before heading to my own. Later that evening, I was relieved to see nothing new posted on the Cloud website. I felt a bit of relief, but also a knot of frustration in my stomach, knowing what Cindy must be dealing with, and that we, along with the police, couldn't do anything to help. I listened to the song, Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone by Bill Withers, missing my dear wife deeply. Donna arrived right before dinner and brought a wonderful meal. She knows all my favorite foods, and since she's a great cook, we enjoyed a lovely dinner. She cleaned up afterward and washed all the dishes. She even brought over a movie rental that I liked. We watched it on my small home theater without talking much. She was there to keep me company and support me during this tough time. I was grateful for her presence and the distraction it provided. For a moment, I could forget about the difficult situation facing Cindy and me. The next morning, my doorbell rang at 7 o'clock. To my surprise, I had slept better than I had in a long time. Donna greeted me with her usual cheerfulness, insisting that I let her take me to the Cracker Barrel restaurant for breakfast. I had to admit the idea sounded great both for the food and for spending time with her. With very little convincing, I agreed to spend time with Donna. We had a great time together, and she even managed to make me laugh a few times. She had been my closest friend for years, and her energy was a welcome break from everything I had been going through. I joked with her, "Donna, if your optimism came in bottles, I'd buy a whole case." She responded with a bright smile that lit up the room. But suddenly my gut feeling kicked in. It had been a week since Cindy had been taken, and I felt certain that more videos would surface soon. I told Donna I needed a few days to handle some things, and she understood, offering to give me space for a couple of days before checking in on me again. I agreed. Later that morning, my instincts were confirmed. Detective Cassandra texted me, saying another video had been posted and that they were working to trace its origin. She promised to update me as soon as there was progress. Once again, I was left waiting. With trembling hands, I sat at my computer to check the new video. The previous one had been removed, leaving only the new link. I had a piece of paper and pen ready to mark down anything that I noticed. The video started in a similar way to the others, with white sheets covering the surroundings, giving no clues about where they were. Cindy's captor was lying on his back, and she was positioned above him. She was wearing nothing but the same necklace as before. She appeared to be following his commands, but the scene was too painful to watch closely. The camera showed her in a situation where she was clearly complying with what was expected of her. It was hard to process, but I forced myself to stay focused, trying to catch any small detail that might help. Watching her like this filled me with a mix of sadness and anger. The situation had become unbearable, but I couldn't give in to those feelings. I had to remain calm, hoping that the detectives were close to finding her. As the video progressed, I felt my frustration building again, but I kept watching, waiting for it to end, knowing I had to keep counting. My wife seemed to fully submit to the situation, responding to the actions of her captor with visible emotion. It was painful to watch her reacting in ways I had rarely seen before. The video showed her becoming more and more involved, and the intensity of the moment was hard to ignore. Her movements and reactions were genuine, as if she had no choice but to follow through with what was happening. After a moment of stillness, she continued, moving with a sense of purpose. It was clear that both of them were locked in a forced rhythm, but I could see that she was going through something deeply unsettling. She continued on, as though caught up in a race that had to reach its conclusion. As the video progressed, it became clear that her captor was nearing the end of his actions, and the camera focused on their interaction. Cindy's face showed signs of exhaustion, and though she was still involved, the look in her eyes was hard to bear. The moment ended with her showing visible signs of strain, but the video was determined to capture every detail. The screen faded, and a new message appeared, hinting at more of the same continuing through the night. The next scene showed her again, this time in a different position, as if things had carried on for much longer. The tone of the video remained the same, disturbing and painful to watch, with no hint of hope in sight. In this new scene, she seemed to be moving more slowly, as if savoring the moment, but it was clear she was still trapped in a situation she couldn't control. The video dragged on for nearly 45 minutes, showing her in a state of forced compliance. It was emotionally overwhelming, and I couldn't take much more of it. I closed my laptop, feeling helpless, unable to shake the image of what I had just witnessed. He took full advantage of her presence. He enjoyed every moment as she seemed to welcome his touch. During that time, I noticed 3 times when she expressed her pleasure before he reached his own satisfaction. After that, he turned her around and positioned her with a pillow for support. I couldn't tell how long she stayed like that. Suddenly, the scene changed to him lying back while she sat on her knees above him. She moved closer to him, and he responded eagerly. She expressed her joy several times, and then they switched places. He sat on her while she used her hands to help him. I recognized the look on his face because I had felt it too. Eventually, he finished, and she playfully gathered what he left behind. Feeling uneasy, I turned to Facebook and posted the number 8, After 2 weeks of Cindy being gone, I received a check in the mail from the gallery for $25,200, 00, which covered the sale of 14 of her paintings. The check was made out to Cindy. Since I couldn't deposit it into our joint account, the gallery was trying to follow her contract in a way that wasn't approved. It didn't come by special delivery, so I tore it up and threw it away. The money would stay with them until Cindy sorted things out. I found it strange that her work was selling so well all of a sudden. It just didn't add up. Jack or Donna checked in on me every day. They wanted to support me without being a bother, taking turns to reach out. I truly appreciated their friendship during this time, especially Donna's. I felt I could trust her again. She never mentioned anything about our past closeness, as if it had never happened. She was a comforting friend who offered encouragement while Jack focused on expanding our law firm. On Friday, during my drive home from work, the traffic was heavy as usual. I was almost at the turn into my neighborhood when the car in front of me suddenly braked hard. I wasn't ready for it, and quickly hit my brakes. My reaction wasn't fast enough, and I lightly bumped the car ahead of me. As a lawyer, I quickly realized that I would be seen as at fault no matter what happened. We both turned on our hazard lights and stepped out to check for any damage to our cars. I was caught off guard by the lovely woman who approached me, looking a bit nervous. She was stunning. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to stop suddenly, but a squirrel darted in front of me and I had to react fast. I would feel awful if I had harmed it. Is there any damage?" she asked as we examined our cars. At first glance, I didn't see any damage, but I knew she might not easily believe me. "Honestly, I can't see any noticeable damage from such light contact. I apologize for not being able to avoid our cars touching. I don't expect you to just take my word for it. Here's my card. We can either wait for the police to come, or you can call me after you check for any hidden damage. I'll cover any costs that come up to avoid any problems with insurance. It's your choice." She took my card and looked it over. "Thank you, Micah. I don't see any damage either, and like you, I'd prefer to keep this between us. I was on my way home for a quiet evening. If you would be willing to take me out for dinner tonight, I would be happy to let this go. Would you consider that, Micah?" she asked with a playful tone. The woman had an air about her that was hard to ignore. She was wearing a stylish dress that showed off her figure. It was clear she had put effort into her appearance. I couldn't help but notice, and it made an impression on me. I found myself easily speaking the words I needed. "It would be my pleasure, Missy." "Esmeralda, please just call me Esmeralda," she said warmly as she took my hand. "Of course, Esmeralda. What a lovely name," I replied, smiling. She smiled back, and for a moment everything else around us faded away. "I hope that by the end of the evening my name is something you won't forget," she said, her meaning clear. "Can I trust you to follow me to a nearby restaurant where we can get to know each other better?" she asked. "Of course, though I promise to be more careful this time." "Oh, please don't say that." "Are you saying you don't like my shape?" she hinted playfully. I simply winked, hoping to keep the conversation light. "I'll take you to the restaurant you choose. It's my treat." I gently kissed the back of her hand and walked with her to the Carriage House restaurant. It was a popular place, though it wasn't cheap. Besides great food, there was a dance floor with a DJ who played a nice mix of classical and popular music. Most people enjoyed it. Jack, Donna, Cindy, and I had only been there twice before, once for a birthday and another time for an anniversary. We chatted casually as she told me she was new to the area because of a recent job promotion. She was single, recently between relationships, and had heard good things about this restaurant from her co-workers. She was easy to talk to, charming and lovely. It seemed like she didn't notice how much she attracted attention from men. Several guys around us looked at her with envy, wishing they were in my place. For some reason, I felt so comfortable that I wanted to share everything about my wife's situation, but instead, I kept the talk about Cindy light. I wanted Esmeralda to know I was already in a relationship without pushing her away. As we finished eating, I felt a little bold and asked her to dance, which wasn't like me. I kept my hands where they should be and didn't let my instincts take over. While we danced slowly, she asked me to stay a bit longer instead of returning to our seats, and I agreed. She gently rested her head on my shoulder and we moved together. My hands brushed against her hips, and I could feel a faint line there. It was clear we were both feeling a connection. "Where is your wife, Micah?" she whispered softly. I'm not really sure right now, I replied honestly. How do you know she's not with someone else at this moment? She gently asked. I believe you could use some good company. I have to say, Micah, I find you very appealing. Why don't you let me share some of your troubles tonight and help you feel better? Her smooth words surprised me, and I was unprepared for her suggestion. It was obvious what she meant. After just meeting me because of a small incident, she was offering me comfort. Any other man would be eager for such an opportunity with someone like her. I thought about Esmeralda's allure for as long as I had thought about Donna's when we danced the tango that night. You are truly beautiful, Esmeralda, without a doubt. If I were single, I might have invited you to my home. But I love my wife very much, and I don't want to break the trust she has in me. I want to keep that trust. While I'm married, there's nothing between us. Thank you for your kind words. They mean a lot to me. She looked a bit surprised at my response. Then she smiled and said, That is the kindest rejection I've ever had, Micah. Please excuse me for a moment. I need to visit the restroom. I went back to my table while she was away. I felt a bit guilty for saying no. I had an idea of what my wife was doing at home. No one besides me would ever know if I accepted Esmeralda's invitation. When she returned, she quietly slipped something into my suit jacket pocket. It looked like a handkerchief sticking out, but I had a strong feeling it was something else. The scent that wafted up confirmed it. This beautiful woman seemed very interested in me. Micah, I can't explain why I'm acting like this tonight. This isn't like me at all. Men approach me all the time, but you've been so polite. I'm really attracted to you. I hope you might consider spending time with me tonight. Please don't miss this chance to be with a real man. Her words were tempting in a way I couldn't ignore. I can't believe I'm saying this, Esmeralda, but I promise to be faithful to Cindy. I don't want to hurt that promise, even if no one else knew about it. You have made my night special. Thank you for a wonderful evening. I've already settled the bill. I think I should head home now. Your wife is very lucky. I wish you both the best. She stood up, kissed my cheek, and said, Thank you for this memorable night. She grabbed her purse and left. I felt a rush of regret as I watched her walk away. I am who I am. I drove home grateful for the brief distraction and tossed her item out the window as I went. 2 weeks passed, and I was hoping that Cindy would return soon. I had done everything the kidnapper asked to keep her safe. Unfortunately, Detective Cassandra Jennings called to tell me another video had been posted online. She assured me she didn't know how the kidnappers discovered that I had contacted the police. The investigation had been conducted very discreetly, as Cassandra had promised. She wanted to prepare me for the fact that the kidnappers intended to keep my wife for another 2 weeks due to my violation of their demands. I was devastated. The thought of her being held for another half-month filled me with unbearable frustration and sadness. I broke down, unable to contain my emotions. Cassandra's only bit of reassurance was that my wife was still alive and seemed to be in relatively good health, likely because of our cooperation. I clung to that one small comfort. Logging into the video cloud site again was a task I dreaded. As before, the previous video had been deleted, replaced with a new one. Fortunately, I had already saved the previous videos onto an external hard drive, ensuring that no trace remained on my computer. I was cautious, fearing that the kidnappers might be monitoring my activity. To my dismay, the first scene was exactly as Cassandra had warned me. A 90-second message appeared on the screen, typed out for me. Your count of your wife's reactions was correct. However, you broke my rule by involving law enforcement. Your attempts to have Detective Cassandra Jennings find me are a clear violation of my instructions. I told you what would happen if you disobeyed. As a result, your wife will stay with me for at least 2 more weeks. You should know that I have connections, and I intend to keep her with me for that time. This is entirely your fault. I will make it harder for you to count her reactions going forward. You will need to watch the videos closely. If you get even one count wrong, she will remain with me for another month. The ball is in your court. I hope you fail again. She has been an amazing companion, and I'll regret letting her go. You might notice that she seems to enjoy her time here. Be observant of every expression and sound she makes. The scene that followed was similar to the others, but this time the setup was slightly different. Instead of a bed, there was a sheet draped over what appeared to be a desk or table. The area was still surrounded by sheets on 3 sides, hiding any other details. One of her captors, dressed in black, was in the scene, though only part of his body was visible. The rest of the video followed the same disturbing pattern, designed to unsettle and provoke me. I closed the video, overwhelmed. The message had shaken me deeply, but I knew I had no choice but to keep following the instructions, hoping for a resolution soon. In the next part of the video, the scene shifted. My wife appeared sitting on a chair covered by a sheet, wearing only her necklace. She moved the chair closer to the man. Without using her hands, she leaned in and kissed him in a way that was clearly intended to provoke a response. The camera focused closely on her, capturing her actions and expressions. It was difficult for me to understand why she seemed so engaged, but it was clear she was following along with what was expected of her. After some time, the scene changed again. The man repositioned himself, leaning against the desk while standing. My wife moved closer once more, using only her mouth. The camera captured her actions as she continued with what she was doing, and soon after, the man responded by becoming more involved. The camera angle shifted, showing the scene from different perspectives, focusing on her face and her concentrated effort. The moment seemed to last forever, but eventually, the man gave a small signal and the video reached its conclusion. It was clear that everything had been orchestrated to show their interaction in the most unsettling way possible. I watched in silence, struggling to process the scene before the video finally ended. It left me feeling hollow and overwhelmed, with no clear sense of what to do next. The video continued with unsettling visuals. My wife, who was clearly following along with what was demanded of her, seemed focused on completing the task at hand. After the captor signaled her, she turned toward the camera and gave a forced smile. It was painful to see her in such a situation. In the next scene, the camera angle had changed, positioned in a way that showed the unsettling dynamics between my wife and the man. She was again put in a difficult position, with the camera capturing every detail. The focus remained on her reactions, making the situation even more disturbing. As the video progressed, it continued with different scenes showing her being made to cooperate in ways that were clearly orchestrated for the camera. The unsettling images left no room for doubt that this was all meant to break her spirit, as well as mine. The video ended with another scene of her forced compliance, leaving me feeling utterly helpless as I closed the screen. This entire ordeal had become more than I could bear, and each new video only added to the emotional burden I carried. Her captor removed an object that had been placed earlier, applying more lubricant before proceeding with his actions. It was clear she had no choice in the matter as he continued, taking his time. The entire scene was designed to showcase his control over her. Though uncomfortable to watch, I forced myself to remain focused, trying to keep track of what was happening. Despite the disturbing nature of the situation, there was no indication of her experiencing anything beyond compliance. The video showed various interactions, each one leaving me more unsettled than the last. Her captor continued to assert dominance, and I made my best estimate of the events, posting the required number afterward. During this time, Jack and Donna remained in regular contact with me, providing support. I appreciated it, especially from Donna, who checked in almost daily. On a Saturday afternoon, 3 weeks since Cindy had been taken, my doorbell rang. I wasn't in the mood to deal with anyone, as I felt lonelier and more depressed than ever. It was Donna at the door. She was dressed beautifully, but it wasn't for attention, though her presence still made me self-conscious. "You don't look ready to go, Micah. What's going on?" Donna asked, hands on her hips. "Did I forget something? I don't remember us planning anything today," I said, confused. She smiled. "Are you going to invite me in, or will you leave me standing here all day?" Feeling a bit embarrassed, I stepped aside. "Come in, Donna. What are you talking about?" As she entered, she explained, "The latest Marvel movie just came out, and I already got us 2 tickets. You've been on my mind all day. Don't tell me my mental telepathy didn't reach you," she teased with a wink. "I don't think I'd be good company today, Donna. I've been going through a lot, and I'm really not ready to go anywhere," I replied, standing there in just my boxers and t-shirt. She looked me over and said, "Not only do I see that, but I can also smell it. Go upstairs and get in the shower, Micah. I'm not taking no for an answer. While you're at it, tidy up your hair and wash your face. I'll find some clothes for you and leave them on your bed. After you're cleaned up and dressed, come downstairs. You'll find me cleaning the kitchen. Cindy would be upset if she knew I let her kitchen get messy. Go on now, I said. I stood with a serious look. She returned the look with even more intensity. Jack and she had been so kind to me lately that I didn't want to upset either one. So I agreed to her request, even though it felt forced. When I finally came back downstairs, I was surprised. The clothes she picked for me not only matched, which I rarely managed, but they even matched her outfit. I was also amazed at how quickly she had cleaned the kitchen. I don't understand how she did it. It would have taken me much longer, yet she accomplished it effortlessly. Just having her here lifted my spirits. She checked her watch and said, "Hey there, I hope you're feeling better because you definitely look and smell better. We're almost out of time, so we need to hurry if we want to catch that movie." I smiled at her, genuinely for the first time in a while. She stood on her toes and kissed my cheek. "This is my plan, my treat, and I'm driving. Your job is to be the charming company that everyone notices. We'll go out to eat afterward, and I have a reservation. If you need to call someone to let them know you won't be home, you can do that on our way to the theater." "Yes, ma'am," I replied jokingly, and off we went. I bought the snacks. The movie wasn't as great as I had hoped. I'm sure my worries about my wife's situation affected my mood, but both the film and Donna's company helped take my mind off things. After using the restroom to relieve some of the soda I drank during the show, we left for dinner. To my surprise, we arrived at our favorite diner with the large dance floor. It was unexpected because I had started to trust Donna again, yet here we were at the place where things had been awkward before. As we sat at our table, she noticed I was a bit uneasy and quickly reassured me. "Micah, I chose this place on purpose. Let me ease your mind. I'm not going to come on to you tonight even though we're here as friends. They have really good food, and I thought being around music and dancing might lift your spirits a little. You don't have to dance with me at all, and I won't be upset. I just feel frustrated waiting on the sidelines since everything started. You and Cindy are my closest friends, and I truly mean that. I really miss Cindy. Whatever is happening with her is a big secret, and only you know. Not even my husband knows." Tears started to form in her eyes. "Micah, Jack told me not to ask you about Cindy. I haven't heard from her, and no one is saying anything. If this were an emergency, I would do everything I could to help both of you. Please, Micah, I don't want to be shut out. I promise you can trust me. I mean this with all my heart." I saw tears rolling down her cheeks. Her love and care were clear on her face. She was as honest and genuine as anyone could be. I placed my hands over hers and gave a weak smile. "Let's order first, Donna. While we wait for our food, I'll tell you what's happening." She smiled widely, happy that I would include her. "Micah, this meal is my treat, so I want to order for both of us. I know what you like," she said. I laughed. "Okay, Donna, if you want me to trust you, I will," I winked. When our water arrived, she started ordering. "My friend here will have the best filet mignon steak you have, cooked medium rare with a baked potato and extra butter, no sour cream. He'll also have a house salad with French dressing. For me, I'll have the fresh lobster with extra butter, baked potato with sour cream, and a spring mix salad with vinaigrette." "Very good, madam. We'll get that ready for you." After the waiter left, she looked at me. "I know you. You were going to pick the cheapest item to save me money. This way we both get what we enjoy. Don't resist, Micah. We haven't been out together in a long time." She smiled. "Now, please take your time and don't skip anything. What's happening, Micah? I'm really curious." "I didn't mean to keep secrets from you and Jack. Usually I wouldn't do that, but this is serious. For Cindy's safety, I needed to keep this a secret from as many people as possible. If you promise to only tell Jack what I'm about to say, then I will trust you." Donna understood the seriousness of my words. She replied earnestly, "I promise, Micah. I will keep your secret. You have always been able to count on me, and that will never change. Let me show you again." "All right. May I have this dance?" She looked a bit puzzled, but reached out her hand and followed me to join the others who were dancing. I decided to slow dance with her no matter what music was playing. I wanted to share what was happening with her while we danced, so she wouldn't sit at the table upset. I held her close and let her rest her head on my shoulder. She nestled into me as we began to move. "Donna, I'm not sure how you will feel about what I need to tell you. I thought this way might help you stay calm." I then shared everything that had happened from start to finish. I told her about the troubling videos, but I left out any graphic details. I spoke honestly about what I knew and felt. As I explained the situation piece by piece, I felt her grip me tighter. Soon I noticed her taking deep breaths, overwhelmed by emotions. She had tears flowing silently into my shirt. It was hard to see her in such pain, and I felt guilty for keeping this from her for so long. I handed her a tissue to wipe her tears. Then we returned to our table before our food got too cold. Micah, I honestly don't know what to say. Except for the worst news possible, this is something I never thought could happen. I feel so sorry for what you and she have been going through. It's a heavy burden to carry. She placed her hands over mine. I want you to know that I'm here for you. Let me help share this weight with you. You shouldn't have to go through this alone. I'm calling Jack and telling him to come back tonight. A true friend doesn't leave someone in need. Thank you for your kindness, Donna. It really means a lot. But I insisted Jack keep working on the West Coast. He offered to come back when I first told him. I didn't want the chance for the company to be lost because of my trouble, and then I wouldn't be able to explain it to anyone. Jack is where he needs to be, all right? Her frown showed her frustration with my choice. Okay, I don't agree with that. But I sort of understand. I won't try to get in the way of Jack's work. I miss him a lot, but listen to me. It's my way or nothing. Your way? What do you mean? I asked. Until Cindy comes back, and I truly hope it's soon, I'm going to spend every free moment helping you through this. I will cook and clean for you every day. I can do your laundry and change your sheets. I'm aware you might not be comfortable with those difficult videos, but you'll allow me to support you in other ways. You don't get to decide that. I'll visit your home every day after work, leaving around 10:30 p.m. so I can get to bed by 11. On weekends, I'll come early in the morning and stay late. I care about Cindy and you just as much as I care about Jack. I'll be there to keep you company, help take your mind off things, and be the kind of friend I know you and Cindy would be for us if the roles were reversed. Now finish that steak before I start cutting it into smaller pieces for you like your mother used to do, she joked. Sure thing. Don't worry about Jack being upset. I'll let him know it was my idea to involve you. You and Jack are great people, and I'm proud to call you both my best friends. True to her word, Donna stayed close by. She wasn't intrusive, always quietly supporting me at home. She wore comfortable outfits, never trying to draw attention to herself. This was the Donna I had always known and loved. She wouldn't let me do anything around the house, taking care of everything. She would wash my clothes almost before I set them down. Though Cindy never ironed for me, Donna made sure every work shirt was neat and tidy. We enjoyed watching a lot of TV and movies together. She was pleasant company, and to be honest, I appreciated her constant presence. I offered her the spare bedroom to sleep in, but she insisted on staying close by, avoiding any hint of awkwardness. The videos became more frequent and longer. Detective Cassandra and her team still had no leads on who was responsible, but they reassured me that eventually something would come to light. Watching those videos was extremely draining. The cameraman sometimes filmed my wife in compromising situations, but I never saw him go all the way. The other man had changed his approach. He was more direct now. He was with her multiple times a day, acting in ways that felt overwhelming. After each time, he would lift her legs to emphasize his intentions. What hurt even more was the way she spoke during those moments. Your child will be loved and cared for above all else. I promise it on my life. Cindy said many things like this. Each word felt like a sharp pain in my heart. My mind told me she had no choice but to follow orders, yet my heart ached as I watched her struggle. After a particularly hard and upsetting video session, I went back downstairs feeling broken. The two men were treating my wife like two wild animals with treats. They were too harsh on her. When Donna saw how upset I was, she jumped off the couch and rushed to me. She wrapped her arms around me tightly, crying with me. My tears soaked her hair and her tears soaked my shirt. We didn't need to speak. We just understood each other. Her heart was filled with love, deep, true love, not just as friends, but a caring support between two people. It felt so strong that when I thought I couldn't stand anymore, it was like being lifted by a huge wave in the ocean. I understood then what was meant by sharing each other's burdens. Donna was holding me up when I needed it most. I had never felt this kind of love before. It was a fresh comfort in my hard time. Donna said, "I would be heartbroken if I were in your place. I can't imagine how you keep going after seeing what you see every day." I replied, "A man doesn't fall apart when he loses an arm. He learns to get by without it." A new video came out almost every day. It was devastating for me to watch hours of my wife in pain, shouting out her cries while with others. It felt like my love for Cindy was slowly fading away. To say my emotions were mixed would be an understatement. But through it all, Donna stayed by my side, offering help and comfort like a true friend, guiding me through my storm. She cried with me until I could cry no more. Jack also called to offer support from afar. I thanked him for letting Donna stand by me. Inside, I felt like I was slowly losing myself. I couldn't imagine how my marriage with Cindy could ever return to how it was before. My feelings were a big mess. One Monday, exactly 4 weeks after Cindy disappeared, I got a call from Detective Cassandra Jennings while I was at work. "Hello, Mr. Albright. I have good news about your wife, Cindy. My team is with her right now, checking the area and collecting evidence." "What? Is she all right? How? What happened?" I yelled. "She seems to be in decent health right now. She's on her way to the hospital for a checkup. Her kidnappers posted another video about an hour ago, and it looks like you haven't seen it yet. They also left a message online saying that your wife was found safe in an old abandoned warehouse downtown. The hospital will examine her both physically and mentally while we search the area for any evidence that could help us catch those responsible. So far, the only clue we have is a set of tire tracks from a common type of tire found in the U.S. Can I see her? When can I take her home? Micah, it's normal for someone who has gone through such a tough situation to stay overnight at the hospital for observation. If she checks out physically, which I believe she will, then they will also look into her mental health. After that, we will need to take her statement. We hope she can give us some leads on who took her so that we can bring them to justice. We won't stop until we make sure she gets the help she needs. I'll meet you at the hospital. The doctors will inform you about her condition and what happens next. As long as there are no major issues, you should be able to take her home in a day or two. We want to get her story while the details are still fresh in her mind." "I understand, Cassandra. I'm on my way to the hospital right now. Thank you." I quickly told my secretary I had a family emergency and wouldn't be back to the office today. I jumped in my car and drove to the hospital. On the way, I called Donna to share the news. To my surprise, she picked up right away, reminding me that she was always there for her friends. I told her the good news and everything the detective had said. I invited her to visit the hospital tonight, but told her not to come to my house, as I would be staying there until they made me leave. She excitedly cried tears of joy and said this was an answer to her prayers. I also asked her to call Jack and fill him in on what was happening. She promised to do that as soon as we hung up. When I arrived at the hospital, I saw Cassandra waiting for me. I hugged her in gratitude. "Thank you, Cassandra, for all you've done for us." "Unfortunately, we haven't caught anyone yet, but we're hopeful." "I understand, Detective. Whatever it takes to bring those responsible to justice. If it were up to me, they would face serious consequences. I suppose it's a relief for them that it's not my decision. I get where you're coming from, Micah, and I understand why you feel that way. We found her exactly where the kidnappers said she would be. She was tied up with plastic straps, lying on an old blanket without any clothes on. You need to know that now that she's back, her case will become known to the public. We'll do our best to keep the more upsetting details private, especially any videos, but her kidnapping and her return will be part of the public record. You don't have to speak to any reporters if you don't want to. Feel free to say no comment as much as you need and just hang up. We will ask the public to help us report anything suspicious around the area where she was found. A useful tip could come from anywhere." I shuddered at the thought of all the attention this case might attract. No matter what, I would protect Cindy from those who wish her harm as best as I could. We walked together to the nurse's station, only to find out that she was being checked over and wouldn't be able to see anyone for another 2 to 3 hours. They gave me a pager to notify me when there were any updates. Waiting was hard, but I accepted it. Detective Jennings added, "There's one more thing." "What is it, Detective?" "I take it you haven't seen the latest video yet?" "Not yet. I rushed here as soon as you called me." "I figured as much." "Look, Micah, I need to be honest with you." "Please go ahead," I said. In the latest video, the person who took her made your wife use a pregnancy test stick in front of the camera. The video shows the results appearing in real time. According to that test, she is pregnant, and we believe it might be his child. I asked the hospital to do a thorough examination and a pregnancy test as part of her care. In time, we can collect DNA from the baby. If there is a match in our records, it might help us identify one of her kidnappers. I wanted you to know so you wouldn't be caught off guard. I'm sorry to bring you such terrible news, Micah. From what I've learned about you, you're a good person. It's sad when bad things happen to good people. I promise we will catch these individuals. Even though I had watched the videos of Cindy pleading for him to let her have a child, I wasn't fully prepared for the reality of what that might mean. The most important thing is that she is back, alive and safe. We will face the future challenges as we have to. I nodded to her in silent appreciation. 10 minutes later, Donna appeared in the lobby looking for me. She quickly rushed over. "What are you doing here, Donna? Don't you have other tasks?" "Forget work. I need to be here with you right now. I promise to support you through this. You don't think I want to miss any of the happiness, do you?" "Thank you. Did you call Jack?" "Yes, I did. He was so happy when I told him. He asked me to keep him updated. But let's talk about you. How are you feeling?" she asked me. "It's strange. It feels like a huge weight has been lifted now that she's back. At the same time, I'm not sure how we will get through everything she's faced and how that might affect our marriage. You both will need time, Micah. There's no doubt about that. I think they'll suggest she talk to a therapist about what she's been through. You might want to think about therapy for yourself, too." "You're probably right. Any idea when Jack might return?" "He said he has 2 more important client meetings today and tomorrow. He might be home as soon as Wednesday and asked me to tell you that he really misses being with you. You know Jack and I will do everything we can to help you and Cindy. That's a promise, Micah. I believe that, Donna. You two are the best friends anyone could ask for, and I appreciate you more than I can say." Just then, a nurse walked up to me. "Are you Mr. Albright? Micah Albright?" "Yes, that's me. Is there a problem with my wife?" "Yes, sir. That's why I'm here. They sent me to find you, and your wife needs to see you first. She is very upset and won't let us help her until she talks to you. Please come with me." I followed her through the long hallways until we reached Cindy's treatment room. When I saw Cindy asking for me, I felt overwhelmed. I rushed to her side and she jumped off the bed to hold me tightly, crying hard. "Micah, is it really you? Are we really together again?" she asked quickly. "Yes, my love, it's me. We're together now. You have no idea how much I've missed you." She kissed me over and over. "Please stay with me. I love you, Micah. I need you near. I would be lost without you. If you promise not to leave, then I'll let them help me." Seeing how upset she was, the doctor agreed. I smiled at Cindy as I stepped back to give her space. She calmed down and allowed the doctor to do her checks. They decided to do some x-rays to make sure there were no hidden injuries, which is typical for someone who has been through a tough time. I couldn't go in with her, but I stayed close outside. After 2 hours of careful examination, the doctor suggested that Cindy should be given something to help her sleep when she got to her room. She clearly needed rest after everything she had gone through. I promised Cindy that I would be there when she woke up. Once she finally fell asleep, holding my hand, I went to the lobby and invited Donna to join us in the room. She was eager to see Cindy. Donna noticed that, while Cindy was sleeping, she didn't seem hurt at all, which we were both thankful for, even though there were marks on her neck. We both knew she had suffered greatly, but that wasn't visible now. Donna wanted to stay the night with us, and we decided to take turns keeping watch over Cindy while the other rested. The next morning at 8:30, a psychiatrist arrived just as Cindy began to wake up. He wanted to talk with her alone for a few hours. We were told to come back after lunch as he wanted a clear conversation with her. Cindy looked calm but asked me to return right away at lunchtime, which I promised to do. Donna and I left the hospital to freshen up and decided to skip work for the day. When I returned, the psychiatrist was still with Cindy, and I was told not to interrupt his assessment. After another half hour, he came out and informed me that Cindy was showing signs of a common reaction to her experience. He thought she wasn't in a state to hurt herself or anyone else, but recommended that she start sessions with him 3 times a week starting Wednesday. He wanted her to come in on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I assured him I would make sure she did. After that, the psychiatrist signed her release for later that day, but she still needed to be processed by the hospital staff. While we were waiting, Detective Cassandra came into our room. "Mrs. Albright, I'm Detective Cassandra Jennings with the local police. Are you able to answer a few questions?" "Of course, Cassandra. I'll do my best to help." "Thank you. I won't take up too much of your time. Do you know who your kidnappers were? Did any of them seem familiar to you? Did they use any names when they spoke to you or to each other?" "I'm sorry. I really don't know who they were. When they were in the room with me, they spoke in very quiet voices and I never saw their faces. They always wore dark clothing." "You said either. Were there just two of them?" "Yes, that's correct. I never felt like there were more than two men. They didn't talk much with me during that time. It's as if they were afraid I might recognize their voices and figure out who they were." "How did they mainly communicate with you then?" "They gave me typed, printed instructions with detailed directions on what to say and do during the recorded sessions. It was like acting out a script. I had to study the instructions and then follow them when they told me to." "I understand. Did you notice anything distinctive about either of the men?" "Well, they both wore black from head to toe, so the only things that stood out were their sizes and the names I was told to call them." "Please continue." "One of them was taller and more muscular. He had a bigger build and was physically stronger. I was told to call him Master. The other one was shorter by about 4 or 5 inches with a smaller frame. He mostly worked as the cameraman, and I was instructed to call him Ed, which I was told stood for editor. If they ever spoke, it was always in soft whispers." "Were you kept in one location the entire time, or did they move you around?" "Most of the time, when we weren't recording, I was chained to a bed by my ankle. They brought me a jar to use as a toilet, which they emptied regularly. I never saw anything outside, so I couldn't tell if we were in a house, apartment, hotel, or office. There were no noticeable sounds like traffic or planes. They brought me food and gave me sponge baths." "You mentioned being naked most of the time. Did they make you wear anything?" "Sometimes they made me wear a very tiny bikini, the smallest I've ever worn. Then they'd have me lie under a sun lamp they brought in, which gave me a tan except for 3 small white triangles over my nipples and crotch. The contrast seemed to excite them for some reason." Cassandra took careful notes. "I see. What kind of food did they give you?" "Mostly fast food chicken biscuits, breakfast sandwiches, burgers with fries, roast beef sandwiches, and subs. But the only drink they gave me was red wine. No water, soda, or juice. They said the wine was to keep me calm." "Did they give you any drugs that you were aware of?" "I was forced to take 2 kinds of pills regularly. One pill at night I thought would help me sleep, and other pills about an hour before I recorded my sessions with them." "Your blood tests showed small amounts of alcohol, Ambien, and MDMA, also known as ecstasy, which matches what you said," Cassandra explained. "Let's start from the beginning, if that's okay. We know you picked up some dry cleaning the day you were taken. A white van drove up to you as you approached your car. Can you tell me what happened during your abduction?" Cindy looked thoughtful. "Honestly, I don't remember much. I was opening my car door to put the dry cleaning inside when a cloth bag was suddenly pulled over my head. A man grabbed me from behind and pulled me into a van. I felt something sharp in my neck and then I blacked out. I didn't see faces or hear any familiar voices. When I woke up, I found myself in a strange place. I had no idea how long I was unconscious or where I was. It could have been minutes or hours." She continued with what she could remember. "Each time they wanted to film something, I was given written instructions beforehand, telling me what to say and do. They didn't speak during the sessions, maybe so the police couldn't recognize their voices. They showed me a Facebook post from Micah, claiming it was proof of his support." Cassandra nodded. "We believe you were held nearby, but we haven't found where you were kept. I'm sorry you have to go through this again, Mrs. Albright. We will bring those responsible to justice. Your husband has been very understanding through all this. I'll leave you two alone for now, and I may have more questions later. I hope you feel better soon and can return home where you belong." I managed to get her home by 4 p.m. Surprisingly, Donna was already there making dinner. She was preparing both of our favorite dishes. She hugged Cindy for a long time before going back to cooking. After the food was ready, she quietly left us alone to enjoy our meal and reconnect. We exchanged nervous glances while eating the delicious food. Finally, Cindy spoke up. I noticed that Donna must have let herself in to cook for us. This is so good. Has she been over here a lot while I was away? Yes, she has, dear, and she insisted on it. Once she learned about what happened, she said she was only doing for me what you would do for her if the roles were switched. Jack had been working on a project out of state on the West Coast, so Donna was left home alone. She helped with many chores to support me through the tough times while Jack was away. Hey, everyone! Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of the exciting stories we have coming up. What do you think about the characters in this story? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.